I had to be behind the wheel. Something about that sensation just drove me.
We have a new leader in GT, and it is the Pontiac GTOR for Matt Connolly Motorsports.
As far as the internship program, these are guys who share the same passion as my dad. They cannot live without racing.
It was my lifelong dream, has been. To do something like this, for me, is definitely a need. Like, I have to do it.
As soon as I was able to get my first car, I just went for about an hour around the block around my house and just taught myself how to drive. It's just something that feels right.
This is about my life would be empty without this program. If I don't do this, I'm going to die a slow and painful death.
There's not a question on my mind. I know why I'm here.
Go! Go, go, go! Pause it down. Slide back. What are you doing? Slide back. Go, roll and go. Go, go, go. Clear, go.
Well, my plan to get into racing was to make money somehow. Was simply to make money, make a lot of it, to be able to buy my, quote, buy my way in. But my idea of buying my way in was buying a car and a trailer and just going to the races by myself, being my own pit crew. I mean, just to get on a racetrack would have been a victory. And like, my life could have ended the next day if I had been on a racetrack once and I'd be a happy man, right? That's the way you think of when you don't have anything.
The Pontiac GTO there of Diego Alessi for Matt Connolly Racing. Drifts to the outside. The Chrome Daytona prototype gets through. Was there contact? Now, speaking of Matt Connolly's Pontiac, this is Diego Alessi. Whoa!
Boy.
Hang on to it. We have a new leader in GT, and it is the Pontiac GTOR for Matt Connolly Motorsports. It is Ryan Finney.
I decided that the only way to really make it big was to have a co-driver who could afford to pay big money for his seat, which would also fund my seat. But the problem was I couldn't find anybody who had the money to do this. Then it dawned on me, why don't I have a contest? A contest, a driver search program where I would interview, test all these drivers, and the winner would earn a free seat with me and my pro team. Racing, the cost of admission is so high. It's prohibitive. That's why mostly only rich kids get to do it. So when I got back into racing at the amateur level, after my pro days were over, and I didn't race at all for 5 years. I ran a handful of races in 2017. But for 2018, I realized if I'm gonna do this right, I need a crew, I need guys. What better than an internship program to make this whole thing happen? So, drawing on my previous internship situations, I advertised on Facebook. I started the program. I figured they'd live here at the shop house, work in the shop. They'd get a little stipend, every week, enough to buy expired bottled water and stale bread. Keep them going, keep them hungry. And part of their compensation would be in driving the car. These are guys who would have no other way to get there other than an internship program. I wanted to have a program set up where the cars were always prepped properly to a high level, and I had good volunteers, good crewmen working. So you need people who are dedicated, focused, who this is the most important thing, almost more important to them than it is to you. This is about my life would be empty without this program. If I don't do this, I'm going to die a slow and painful death. So Ryland drives 29 hours from Colorado with his dog in order to get here a day before the last race of the year so he could then be a crew member on a 14-hour race this weekend. And I'm like, that's the kind of dedication you need.
What got me into racing was definitely, it was speed, it was a toy. I grew up on dirt bikes, quads, and go-karts, and ever since, you know, I've had those, I've just want to go faster and keep pushing harder. So that's always been something that has driven me. And as soon as I was able to get my first car, it was a 93 Wrangler stick shift, and I didn't really know how to drive stick at the time, and I just went for about an hour around the block around my house, and just taught myself how to drive. And since then, I've just kind of put it together that, you know, this is something I need to pursue because racing is a passion of mine. It's just something that feels right, you know. I told him, you know, this is something I need. He said, well, you sound like my guy. How quick can you get here? For a minute there, I was thinking more about the time of like a week, 2 weeks, and he's like, well, if you could make it for the next race, that'd be great. I believe it was Tuesday that he called me, and the race was on Friday. Like, we left on Friday. So I was like, well, okay, you know, I can leave tomorrow. So next day, I had all my stuff packed up and saying my goodbyes, and that night I took off and drove.
And then Ethan, I'll be honest, I'm sitting in bed, it's midnight, 12:15, something like that, and I'm scrolling through all these messages. Hi, I'm gonna be your guy, I wanna be your guy. And for some reason, something about Ethan's just jumped out at me. I respond to him, he responds right back. Respond again, he responds right back. I said, do you have time for a phone call? This was like almost 1 in the morning at this point. Sure, so I call him. Now, Ethan had just bought a brand new work truck because he was gonna be an HVAC guy. He'd come out of the military, not getting any closer to racing, but you gotta live, you know? So he's like, man, I just did all this stuff and I got my girlfriend down here and all this stuff. He said, it doesn't matter, I'm going. I said, do me a favor though, sleep on it and just let me know tomorrow to make sure that, you know, so I'll take the ad down. So the next day he said, I didn't sleep at all, but I'm going.
Stepdad raced, pretty much raised me, so that was a big part of my life really early on. I was taking apart the VCR and getting in trouble for not being able to put it back together from a pretty young age. I had actually just started my career in HVAC after getting out of the Navy, and got an opportunity to come race and said fuck it. So I didn't know who Matt Connolly was. I found Matt Connolly on Facebook through Racing Jobs. It was an internship program that he was offering out. He had an open spot. I felt like I fit pretty well with my resume, the racing that I had done in the past. I never made it on a team before. Just couldn't pass up the opportunity. It was my lifelong dream, has been. Started racing at 16 down the mountains in Tennessee with my best friend. Eventually found a legal outlet to do it in autocross out at Reno. And this opportunity came a week after my best friend who I used to race down the mountains with passed. And that was both of our dreams, so like something I have to do.
So one of our crew members is my daughter, Lexi. She's been coming to the racing since she was a baby. There are pictures of a little tiny girl, 1 year old, and she's always loved it. She goes over the wall, she's in a full fire suit, she's fire bottles, so when we refuel, we have to have a person there with a fire extinguisher. Everyone's in full fire gear. We do a driver change and we refuel at the same time during the pit stops. But most importantly is she is a wonderful person. I could not ask for a better daughter. I mean, she's tremendous. She loves going to the races. She sings the national anthem, beginning of every race. She's a phenomenally talented singer and actress. She is Judy Garland reinvented, which interestingly enough, her favorite singer is Judy Garland. All the drivers like her, all the other teams like her. It's just, and she's just happy. She's almost more excited to go to the races than I am.
For me, the need for speed, I think it kind of did translate over into me. Not so much in like racing, but I remember I always had to be first. I always had to be the fastest. I remember in kindergarten, I always had to be the first in line. They actually had to call home and tell me, Lexi keeps rushing to the front of the line. She has to take turns with other kids. He never treats me softer because I'm a girl. He always pushes me. He's like, oh, you know, Lexi, can you bring those tires over there? And someone's like, oh no, like don't let her do that. No, she can do it. She can do it, she's strong enough, and I do it. You know, I do stuff like that, and it just makes me feel good because I know that he has that trust in me, and, you know, he thinks highly of me, so.
Finally, she said, Dad, when can I drive? And I was like, oh, Lexi, you want to drive? So this year is going to be the first time Lexi's going to be behind the wheel of a race car. It's kind of exciting.
Tomorrow's the first race of the season, first points to be had, and I'm ecstatic.
It's dream come true just to be here. I mean, even on a amateur team, like I'm just happy to be here, and I can't wait. I think we have a really good shot tomorrow as a team. I'll be driving 245, but the team car that's really competing is going to be 210 with Matt and a few other guys that are really fast drivers, like so much faster than me. These guys are quick, and I have so much to learn from them, and I'm excited to learn it.
Honestly, I'm beating myself up a little bit right now. We were out yesterday doing a bit of just driving around and felt pretty good. At the start, I was like not as comfortable as I should be, but I was getting there towards the end of the day, feeling good. Today we went out this morning and to get vetted by one of the AER guys here, and I didn't make it. So that's pretty disappointing, but you gotta work on those and get better from them. So hopefully sometime soon, next time, I'll be able to hop back in the driver's seat for a race.
As far as the interns, these are guys who share the same passion as my dad. They cannot live without racing, without having racing a part of their daily routine. So I think it's really cool that my dad is, showing them the ropes and how to get to where they want to go. All they really like is just being a part of the racing environment, and that's what keeps them going. I just like seeing them do that, and I just like, hanging out with them because they're cool guys.
The goal is always to win the championship. Win as many races as you can, have the happiest drivers even when you don't win, have crew guys, interns who learn a lot, who grow to be their personal best. I mean, some guys have it, some guys don't, but you don't know based on your desires. Whereas other guys are like, I'm sacrificing my life to become a pro driver. You only know that by really being immersed in it, and this is a total immersion.
And it doesn't mean anything until you've been behind the wheel of a race car. And now that they have been, the whole perspective changes. I'm pretty stoked about where this can go. Pretty quietly stoked.